Hi, Erin.
Hi, Jesse.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Great.
Good.
So, the plan is to go through some beginning stuff,
Okay.
and then when we're all done with that, I will introduce you, and I will stop sharing my screen and start sharing your screen.
Okay.
So let me get my screen up. Do this one.
Yeah, I logged on a little bit earlier just to do a test screen share, make sure I wasn't going to have any issues. So
Good, good. It's always kind of awkward in the beginning because the Zoom link is set up to automatically record as soon as I start. So I'm going to share the recordings to our YouTube channel. So anybody who watches probably sees like 10 minutes of just goofy faces or nothing while we're getting ready. Hi, Susan. You know, the sun is a fun thing now. It's still nice and bright when we start our meetings. So I tried to make it as dark as I could, but it's been worse in the past. So.
Oh, it's fine.
Yeah.
We can see you just fine.
Perfect. I tried to strategically place these fun books in the background, but then I couldn't tell where, if you'd be able to see them or not. So
yeah, I can make them out.
Yeah.
I had to turn 180 degrees because the sun was like behind the windows were behind me.
like
Which is just like, you know.
in the witness protection program.
Right. Yeah. I was all blacked out.
I know I love you all, but I had to tear myself away from that sunshine to come in here and do this. So
I was mowing the grass, picking garlic mustard.
There you go.
All of that. Right.
I got my seeds in a little late. So the nice thing about native plants is you can just like throw them outside. And so I've got milkweed coming up. I was so excited.
Yes, I know. It feels a little bit early this year, which is odd because everything else is a little bit late. But my milkweed is up much higher than it was at this time last year.
Yep, mine's coming up too. So I'm hoping that I'll have it, it'll be blooming at the right time to support the monarchs that come a little bit later. So
Great. I know my Joe Pye weed just finally took off, so that's exciting. That's always like my happiest moment. I love it.
Yeah.
So it's great.
I found pokeweed in the back of the property this week. I was so excited. I thought it was knotweed when it first started coming up. I was like, please don't let it be knotweed.
I love pokeweed. Love it. I let it places I probably shouldn't because I love it.
Right. Lucky for me, it's all the way in the back of the property.
Keep an eye on it, or it will be all the way on the front of the property too. In fact, I have it growing right out my back door, and it's beautiful. It's tropical looking. It's also eye height, so when you walk out, you're like attacked by it. Well, I'm not, I'm short, but my husband is. So he always like trims back the branches that smack him in the face, and I'm like, no, not my pokeweed, just duck. I don't know, let it be.
Really?
And we want to put a patio out there, and I am pretty sure even if we do, the pokeweed's going to come through it. So
Yep.
I don't know.
Yep. Unless you use concrete, it will.
Well, we're thinking paver, and I think we might as well just like leave a square out where the pokeweed comes up, because otherwise it's just going to push it up.
Probably a good
Yeah,
idea.
I'm doing that with milkweed. I have milkweed coming up through my bricks, and so I took a brick out and I put one of those little tree tubes in there so I don't step on it by mistake.
That's wonderful.
Big one. It's Syriaca, so it'll get 6 feet tall.
Yes, I love it.
Yeah, Jesse, which milkweed did you say is coming up? Which one do you have?
I have Syriaca and I have Incarnata. I also planted purple purpurea, I think, last year, and that is coming up, and I really wasn't expecting it to make it because I hear it's like
Cool.
kind of iffy. My tuberosa is not up yet. Yeah, I tried World in the past, and that's verticulata, I think, and I can't get that to grow. It doesn't like it here, so.
Yeah, tuberosa doesn't like it at my place because I have clay.
So I have clay too, but I ignore it. If I look at it too long, it dies. So I avert my eyes when I walk past it, and it does okay. But
Seriously.
it doesn't spread. It just like stays there. It's like, okay, if you don't pay attention to me, I won't pay attention to you, and we are okay for now.
South facing?
It is actually, it's in 2 different spots. It is not south facing, and it's in like part shade. It really shouldn't be doing well, but it keeps coming back. So
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
take it.
Yeah, I feel like I don't have deep enough soil for the roots. The roots are,
Yeah,
8
you
inches
are on thin rock, right? Like you're, yeah, that could be. I mean, I hit a rock now and then, but I've got a lot of deep soil.
Oh, that's the difference.
Yeah.
Yep, I think.
All right, guys, it is 7 o'clock. I'm going to give everybody just a couple more minutes. Hi, Michelle, to stroll on in here, and then I'm going to start to share my screen, and we'll go from there. I just like to kind of see people as they pop up, and it's harder once I share my screen. So I know some people reached out and said that they couldn't make it tonight, which is fine. The recording will be available, but we have some really exciting news to share, so I am looking forward to it.
No, I see the purple milkweed. That looks cool.
It is very cool, and I when I got it, they said, don't be surprised if it kind of doesn't survive, and if it doesn't do much like the first or second year. But if it does survive and makes it to the 3rd year, it's amazing, and then pretty hardy after that. So I put it in the fall, I think, and I put 5 in, and at least 3 have come up so far. So we'll see.
You're talking about Prairie Moon. I'm looking at their disclaimer, that one.
The nursery I got it from Edge of the Woods.
Oh yeah, okay.
But the disclaimers there just in general, like it's not a reliable milkweed.
No, it says the same thing. Getting it to last more than one season and bloom and set seeds can be a challenge. I wonder why. I guess I'd like to find out more about that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Which one is that?
Purpurescens?
The
Hey, Michelle. I'd never heard of it, but Jesse mentioned it. I just looked it up.
It could be maybe we're just out of its range too. So maybe it's just it likes it a little bit different and we want to force it to be here.
Not telling me where it's native.
Are you on Bonap?
That could have a lot to do with it. Oh, range map. Hang on, I can get a range map. No, it's native in southeastern Pennsylvania. So, okay.
Maybe it's
It might be a soil chemistry issue, right? It might
it's probably just a finicky plant.
Yeah.
All right, guys. I'm going to share my screen. Share. I'm going to present. We've been recording this whole time. So glad everybody could make it. Thank you so much. We are at our last count, up to 42 members. So that's very exciting. For anybody who is new to the group, this is the board. It's our chapter officers. I am Jessie. Audrey, it didn't look like she had come yet. She is our vice president, and she does a great job with our thought of the month, which is always exciting. I'm really excited about tonight's. Susan is here. She is our secretary and our webmaster. And Susan, I have exciting news. I got an email today that we have a website.
Woo!
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know anything about it. I read the email, but I did not click on the link to look at the website or do anything yet because it has to be set up and all that stuff. So more to come on a chapter website. Michelle is here and she's our treasurer. So anything money related, which the only thing we've had money related was our sale, which was wonderful. And you talk to her about money. Our membership chair is Lindy. She cannot be here tonight. She is at work. And Marilyn, I didn't get to see if she hopped in or not, but hopefully she's here.
I'm here, Jessie. I've been here the whole time.
Audrey, I just checked the chat and it says you were here. Great. Hi.
Yeah, no video. Sorry.
That's okay. No problem. So Marilyn is our source of ever inspiration. So we are happy to have her. And maybe we want to move forward. I can't get my slide to advance. There we go. Okay. Our YouTube channel is ever growing. Each meeting we put on our YouTube channel. And I've been looking for some interesting videos and things that I've taken. I have a really great video of a golden digger wasp making her burrow right in front of me. And it was super cool. So I want to put that and those kind of things on there. So stay tuned for more on that. We have new members. I try and as a chapter, we reach out to all new members and we say, hey, this is what you are now a part of. We're super excited to have you. And if you want, we can introduce you at our next meeting. This month, we had 4 new members and we had a couple of returning members or renewing members, but nobody wanted to be recognized necessarily, or they didn't let me know. So we just have, I thought I would at least share some areas that we're covering because we are spreading out really nicely. And the whole point of this is to be able to connect with people that you're close to get some projects done, maybe that are bigger than your backyard. So Chester Springs, Mechanicsburg, Warrington, and Leola are some new areas that we have members in. Tonight's Thought of the Month, super exciting. This was a lot of fun. This month, we thought it would be fun to play a quick game of Match the Caterpillar to the host plant. We'll show you 6 different caterpillars. Actually, there was a bonus one in there. There might be 2 bonus ones now that I think about it. Maybe I can't count. And different host plants. One at a time. You can type in the chat box if you think you know the answer to either of those, either the caterpillar or the host plant, or both if you know it. And then we'll check out the chat and see the first person who got them right, and you get to be the winner of the night. You can make your own crown, have at it. One of the matches will give itself away because kind of the title is in if you can recognize the caterpillar. And I wanted you guys to be able to use this game to fall in love with these caterpillars and decide. You just have to see them in your own yard, get the plants because they will come. And this preludes our guest speaker tonight so well. So we are going to get started with this guy. Very exciting. I can't give you any hints. Do I want to? Oh, this was the double. So our next one. So if you know what this guy is, you can put in the chat box. If you know what this guy is and you know his host plant, you can put that in the chat box. This is the double. Both of these caterpillars have the same host. And most of you know, a lot of our native plants host many caterpillars. So this game is definitely not exhaustive of all of the options. This one's really cool. I hope to see this one in my yard sometime. I wanted to give you an easy one at least. The poster child. This guy's really cool. Look at that. Anybody who can't have video probably thinks I'm just a complete goof, but there are really cool pictures of caterpillars on here, guys. This is my favorite. And I have to say, I planted the host plant for this caterpillar, and within 3 weeks, I got it. So, planted, they will come. Okay. This is the last caterpillar we have for you. Now I'm going to start with the, oh, well, maybe before I do, let's open the chat and see if we have any answers. Okay. Somebody guessed a swallowtail and then a spice bush. Swallowtail is a great answer, Shannon. There's many of those. So I wonder, oh, somebody else swallowtail and spice bush. That's a common theme. Those look. Nancy, I hope that you're saying that you do see my pictures and you don't just think I'm a goof. They are too cute, I agree. Next to last caterpillar was spice bush. Yes, Donna, you are so right. My favorite. Okay. And then now onto their host plants. See if you recognize the plants and if you know then maybe which caterpillar it was. There we go. I am taking a Native Plants of Spring class at Mount Cuba Center right now, and I highly recommend it to anybody. It is amazing. But I saw the picture of this plant and was able to identify it because I'm taking that class, so that was really exciting. Throw a big old tree in there. Beautiful, amazing, can't believe it's native. It's so just, what's the word I want to use? Tropical, there we go, it's tropical looking. Some people love it, some people don't love it. Not everybody knows its ecological value, but it's a wonderful plant. This one's a tricky picture of a good plant. one of our native fruits. And that is our last one. Okay, let's check out the chat again. Excuse me. Oh, how do I find the bottom? Okay. I'm still scrolling. Okay. Okay. Spice bush, yes. And Donna says fritillaries or fritillaries, who I'm not sure. Potato. I wonder which one you think that is for, Donna. Meadow rue, yes. Yes. Passion flower, yep. That's such a beautiful plant. Yes. Swamp milkweed. Aaron, that's almost half cheating, but yes, that you got it. Yes, yes, Virginia creeper. I too love it. And I'm amazed that you could spell it because I had to like cut and paste from Google. Poison oak is a good guess. It's not correct, but it is a good guess. Virginia creeper is the answer, yep. And yes, that was a tricky picture, Susan. Lindera. Spice bush. Pawpaw, yes. You guys are too good at this. How can I fool you? Okay, so I'm going to take this off the screen, and here are the combinations. So meadow rue and the, I have to go back to the caterpillar. I forgot its name. And the Canadian owlet is the caterpillar. This one is the twofer. Finding it. It is the hackberry tree and the hackberry emperor. That was the giveaway in its name. And the question mark caterpillar also hosts on hackberry. That's this red guy. The passion flower is Passiflora incarnata, otherwise known as maypop. And then it is the I titled all of the ones except the ones that were paired up. And then it was the Gulf fritillary caterpillar. This one, the milkweed and the monarch, poster child of Save the Insects. Virginia creeper, I am really hoping to see a Pandora sphinx moth caterpillar because that guy is trippy looking. The spice bush, Lindera benzoin, and the spice bush caterpillar. All of the instars are adorable, but this guy's super cute. And last but not least is our pawpaw that hosts our zebra swallowtail. So let's see. That was fun. We had tossed around the idea of a prize. I want to do a prize, but we need to figure out more about that, and it'll be way easier in person to do games and have prizes. A great resource for something like this are these two books, The Butterflies of Pennsylvania and The Caterpillars of Eastern North America, which is so fun to look through. It tells host plants. It shows, for some, not enough of them, but for some of them, it shows their cocoons or chrysalis. So it's really exciting to watch. Susan, I agree. I was at a nursery today and could only find the Senara, the non-native, well, it's native to the South, like South America, passion flower. I can't find the native one. Another book that I was told would be very helpful is the Stokes Butterfly book. It's the complete guide to butterfly gardening, identification, and behavior. So check out those books and have fun. The butterflies are back. I haven't seen caterpillars yet, but I've seen a couple different kinds of swallowtails in my yard. I saw the first monarch that I've seen this year at a nursery today. And speaking of, our presenter tonight is Erin. Erin is a native plant and pollinator enthusiast who especially enjoys the monarch butterflies that visit her garden each year and is excited to share her personal experience of Monarch Watch with us this evening. She completed the Force of Nature program through Natural Lands in 2020, and you may cross paths with her on the trails at Meng Preserve in Schwenksville, where she is a trail steward. That's where Erin and I met through our Natural Lands training. In her spare time, Erin enjoys gardening at home, observing the tiny details in nature, and connecting and volunteering with fellow nature enthusiasts. So I am going to stop sharing my screen so that Erin can share hers.
Thanks for the introduction, Jessie. All right, let me condense a few things at my end, get my screen share up here, make sure it comes through okay and the audio is okay. All right, are you able to see my screen? Yep, I'm seeing yes. Okay, great. Perfect. And let me just condense this screen so I can navigate my slides. Bear with me here. Okay, great. So thank you for the opportunity to present this evening. I'm going to share with you my personal experience and knowledge of monarch butterflies, what I've learned about their migration, and my personal experience through the Monarch Watch tagging program. So I thought I'd start off by sharing some facts about the monarch butterfly that you may not already be aware of. They're the only butterfly that makes a two-way migration. They migrate across 3 countries, which include Canada, the United States, and Mexico, traveling as far as 3,000 miles. The migrating generation has a lifespan of about 6 to 8 months. A female monarch can lay as many as or more than 300 individual eggs. Unfortunately, out of those large numbers, only 1 or 2 may fully develop into a monarch butterfly. Milkweed or any of those varieties are their only host plant. Their color and toxins from the milkweed that they're able to store in their body are their natural defense mechanisms. So on the slide here, you'll see 2 butterflies. One of them is the female monarch and the other is the male. The image on the left is the female monarch and the image on the right is our male. One of the big differences or ways that you can tell the difference between the 2 is that you'll notice the male has 2 darker spots on either side of its body on the lower portion of the wings. Some key features on the female, you'll notice some darker, more bold veining, as well as well-defined spots along her wings. So as I mentioned, milkweed is their only host plant. You know, any variety of milkweed allows them to complete their full reproduction cycle. Monarch Watch has actually identified 4 specific types of milkweed that are suited best for our area here in the Northeast. And those include the swamp milkweed, which we got a quick glimpse of in the game we just played a few minutes ago, common milkweed, poke milkweed, as well as butterfly milkweed. The butterfly milkweed that's shown on the right, that's mostly what I have in our garden here at home, though I am starting to introduce other varieties, including the common milkweed. So what is Monarch Watch? Monarch Watch is a nonprofit program that's through the University of Kansas. It was founded in 1992 by Dr. Chip Taylor. They focus on research and understanding more about monarchs and their migration, educating the public, conserving and protecting monarch habitats and the importance of that. They provide a lot of really great educational tools for K through 12, as well as enthusiasts such as myself, and most notably their annual tagging program. And they're actually coming up on their 30th year anniversary. So what is tagging and why do it? So Monarch Watch is interested in understanding where the migrating generation of monarchs are being tagged, what time of year it is, if it's male or female, and if it was wild or reared. The data is linked to a sticker that has a unique 3-letter and 3-number code that's attached to the wing of the butterfly. When applied correctly as shown in this image, the stickers do not harm or interfere with the behavior of the butterfly. This data is then uploaded into a public database that you can check periodically for reported sightings of your monarch along its migration. It's important to note that this will only work and is independent of folks that are capturing a tagged monarch, logging into that database, and then recording that sighting at their location. So why does Monarch Watch do this? There's a number of reasons, including there's still need to understand more about monarchs and their migration. Believe it or not, it's still a mystery as to how the migrating generation is able to navigate and return to the same overwintering site. Though it's thought that there are environmental cues such as the sun and air currents that support that, they believe there's still other environmental factors that are not yet understood. To identify and track factors that are causing population decline, these are things that, we're very aware of, right? A lot of habitat loss due to continued development, use of herbicides and pesticides, as well as extreme weather events and climate change. The data is also used to help develop conservation policies that span across the US, Canada, and Mexico to help raise awareness through the public. And it provides enjoyment for children and adults. And so far they have they've probably reached the 2 million mark as far as tagging records that have been submitted to their database. There's already a really large following and participation in this program. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about the migration. This particular map that Monarch Watch put together, I think, really does a great job explaining and showing you their migration process and cycle. I do want to highlight, you'll see the Rocky Mountain Range in the western part of the US. This mountain range actually divides the monarch population into 2 groups, west of the Rockies and east of the Rockies. I want to just emphasize that Monarch Watch does not send their tagging kits to any addresses that are west of the Rockies. They're just not interested in gathering and tracking that data at this time. And you'll notice that the populations that are west are following different migration patterns, and they overwinter in different areas along the coast of California. So focusing on the populations east of the Rockies, that's again what Monarch Watch is focusing on and the data that they're interested in understanding right now. So in our area, I'm in, I think most of us are in southeastern Pennsylvania. September is typically when that migrating generation is going to peak in our area. So in around here, this is going to be the 4th generation. This is the strongest, the migrating generation. And these are the butterflies that are going to be making that long flight to central Mexico where their overwintering sites are. So just out of curiosity, I Googled the distance from Gilbertsville, where I live, to El Rosario in Mexico, which is a town that's very close to one of the more well-known sites. And that's about a 2,500-mile journey. So I think that's pretty remarkable for a butterfly. Granted, the monarchs are one of the larger butterflies, but just that's something so small and delicate is able to travel that far is just really amazing. So again, that 4th generation spikes in September. They're making that trek all the way down to central Mexico. They're
Karen,
going to, yes.
I'm sorry. May I ask a question? It's Michelle.
Sure. Yeah.
When
Hi,
you
Michelle.
say 4th generation, does that mean that from the time each annual cycle occurs and they come up and then turn around, we're in the 4th generation, like they're laying eggs and reproducing and continuing to carry on up to this way and then turn around? I'm trying to figure out how that works.
Sure. Yep. So I'm going to get to that in just a second.
Okay.
And I think it'll make a lot more sense to you then.
Okay.
Yeah, great question. So I started with the peak migration. I just thought that was maybe the best way to start explaining it. So they're going to arrive at the overwintering sites in November, and they're going to stay there for about 4 months. So towards the end of February and heading into March, they're going to start migrating north again. So that's their return migration. And they're going to start, mating and laying eggs and raising that 1st generation. And then those butterflies are going to continue migrating north. So we're going to see this continual cycle over the summer months of breeding and recolonization as those generations continue to travel north. You'll see that some areas highlighted here are actually the southern parts of Canada. So they have quite an expansive range. So again, by the time they're getting to our area, that's going to be the peak of that 4th generation. And that distance, it's just amazing how the environment works and just how they're programmed to know that, okay, I'm the generation that needs to return and make that flight back to our wintering sites. That's then going to kickstart those following generations. You'll also notice on the Monarch Watch map here that there's some blue in southern Florida, and they have a question mark there. So they do believe that there are some overwintering sites and colonies that they're headed there, but there's not a lot of information or data out there. So that's yet another reason why the tagging program and participating in it is so helpful, so that they can start to understand more about maybe other areas that some of these monarchs are headed to. And then just to give you an overview of, the overwintering sites, here are a few scenes from one of the most well-known sites. This is the Monarch Butterfly Biosphere Reserve. As I mentioned, this is in central Mexico. This is along the Trans-Mexican Volcanic Mountain Belt. Due to its high elevation, it's about 8,000 to 10,000 feet above sea level. There are dense pines and fir trees that provide the perfect ecosystem that allows them to overwinter for that 4-month period. It provides cool temperatures, there's a lot of moisture from fog, and the dense firs provide a lot of protection from the adverse weather. They have a lot of snow and hailstorms in this region. So here's another photo that I found through the Eco Life Conservation. Just really remarkable, just looking at how densely populated and packed they are on these fir trees in Mexico. So every year there's groups of researchers that visit these areas, and they're scouting for fallen tagged butterflies. Even though a lot of them, millions of them, make it to these overwintering sites, not all of them make it. So they're going through those fallen butterflies, checking for ones that are tagged, recording that information, and then analyzing that over the course of several months. So from some of the recovered tagging data that's already been collected over the last 30 years, it's indicated that there's about 14 different colonies that are overwintering in this specific area. And those colonies range in size from 6 million to 60 million butterflies. A fun fact that I discovered when I was researching a little bit more about the overwintering grounds was that it wasn't really well known in the scientific community until about the 1970s, specifically where this site was. And so again, it's a fairly recent, public discovery, if you will, and just another reason it's so important to to have a tagging program and to support that so that they're able to continue to gather more data about the populations. So that's just a quick intro and interview into what Monarch Watch is and their tagging program. I hope that, so far you've learned a lot of interesting things about the monarchs that maybe you weren't aware of. Maybe you weren't aware of just how vast their migration is. So I'm going to transition into the next part of the presentation, and I'm just going to share with you my personal experience with monarchs, participating in their program, and some tips, lessons learned, and kind of my approach through the process. So getting started, first you're going to want to order your tagging kit from Monarch Watch. You can do that through their website. The kits begin at $15 and it includes 25 tags, but you can purchase up to 500 tags if you want and if you're feeling really ambitious. The kit is going to include their annual newsletter, your data tracking sheet, the set of stickers that you would apply to the monarch. They also sent this really beautiful bookmark, which I thought was a nice touch. You're also going to want to ensure that you have and are providing native nectar plants in your garden, right? So you want to attract them, you want to be providing sources of fuel and energy for the adult butterflies. Planting milkweed, especially if you want to support their entire reproduction cycle, they absolutely need milkweed in order to do that. And then lastly, a butterfly net. Butterflies are not easy to catch with your hands, and you actually want to try to, not handle them. You want to handle them the least amount as possible. So those are really the key things that you're going to want to gather or invest in initially if you're just going to plan to sort of, catch them wildly with the net through the tagging process. I also chose to rear as well as wild caught. So if you're going to choose to rear, you're going to want to identify an appropriate location to do that. You really want, they're very sensitive and they really rely on environmental cues for their development. So you want to choose a location that's going to allow them access to, natural light cycles and environmental changes such as temperature. I actually use our sunroom, which is not insulated, but it is a protected space that has windows on 3 sides and still creates as natural as possible of an environment. I would discourage you from trying to rear them inside your home, in your kitchen or something like that, especially if it's air conditioned. The air is going to be a little bit more dry and they might not have connection to those sensitive environmental cues that they rely on. Some other supplies that you might want to consider gathering are something as simple as a pop-up mesh laundry tote. I always scour for these at Walmart during the back to school time. They're about $7 or $8. I try to find the largest size that I can, and I prefer them with the zippered side access panel. It's just easier to be getting things in and out of. And again, I really can't stress enough just maintaining and providing natural conditions for their development and making sure that you're providing a clean environment as well. Always washing your hands anytime you're coming into contact or handling any stage of the development, and just making sure that you are providing, fresh water, changing the water regularly, cleaning up frass. For those of you that may not be familiar, frass is another way of saying butterfly poop, caterpillar poop. They eat a tremendous amount of milkweed. And so you're going to be actually changing that daily. So I actually line the bottom of my laundry tote here with some paper towels. You could use newspaper or some other type of craft paper, something you have on hand that's easy to sort of roll up and dispose of each day. Those are all of the, I think, key points to cover as far as getting started. It's a fairly inexpensive upfront investment. On the flip side of this, some things that you do want to also spend some time educating yourself on are, common problems and different types of things that can affect and harm the butterflies through their development. I don't have a background or degree in the sciences, so I'm not going to get too deep into this, But here are a list of several different types of bacteria, viruses, and things that can affect the monarchs through their development cycle. The first time I did this in 2019, unfortunately, I did identify 4 chrysalids that you can see here that were infected. Obviously, I had spent a lot of time researching the different stages and things to look for, and I, was noticing that these weren't following the normal development visual cues. I believe that these were all 4 infected with the nuclear polyhedrosis virus. Basically, I'm really thankful I was able to catch this early on, though this one was pretty close to kind of splitting open. And had that happen, that virus emits all these airborne particulates, and anything that those come into contact with, will become infected. So I immediately identified there was an issue, removed these from the pop-up tote. In this particular case, these were the only 4 that had been in that tote, and I made the decision to just simply dispose of everything through the trash. You would not want to, just toss these back outside or put them in your garden because there is a live, active, organism in there, virus in there, and once they split open, they're coming into contact with other things, and you don't want that infectious cycle to continue. I did provide some links at the end of this presentation. There's a really good website that goes into a lot more detail about these things. Just some things to look for and things that you can do and ways that you can avoid them. I also learned that, this isn't just specific to rearing butterflies. All of these things can occur naturally out in the wild in nature. So if this does occur, it is disappointing, but it's just the course of nature and these things do happen. And it's just something that you need to be aware of. So going back on the more positive side of rearing butterflies, they start arriving typically around the June-July timeframe, though we heard Jessie mention at the beginning, she actually spotted a monarch, I think this within the last week. So that's a really unusual early arrival, I think. So that was really interesting. But I'll start monitoring our milkweed garden, and you're going to want to start monitoring for eggs. They're going to be laid by the female on the underside of the milkweed leaf. So here you can see just how tiny they are in the palm of my hand for scale. After they hatch, the larva is going to go through 5 stages of development before it reaches the pupa. So I have a series of photos here that I've documented those various cycles. You can see in instar 1 and 2, they're very small. A lot of times you're going to find them on the underside of milkweed leaves. They tend to hide there. It's a little more protection for them. When they're getting into especially stage 4, these are when they're really obvious. They're quite chubby, so they don't disguise themselves very well. And because, predators have learned, that they don't taste good because of the toxins in milkweed, they have very bright colors. They have, things tend to stay away from them. And then as we go into stage 5, you'll see, they're at their fullest development. They're about 2.5 inches, very chubby. I thought this photo in the center was pretty neat. I saw these 2 had actually mirrored themselves as they were feeding on the milkweed. I think they actually had weighed it down a little bit. It's kind of falling over into the mulch. So I actually try to monitor all of the caterpillar larvae up until stage 5 before I really interfere and try to bring them in to continue and sort of protect them through the pupa and chrysalis stage. So I really just let them out there, let nature kind of run its course, and just monitor for any signs or symptoms of any problems. It takes about 10 to 14 days for them to reach the size that you see here. And as I mentioned, I really don't intervene until that final stage. So then I'll just simply cut a full stem of milkweed as close to the ground as possible. I'll gently wash that with just water. It's okay if the caterpillars get a little wet. They're out in the elements anyway. They're pretty tough. Put that in clean, fresh water. And then at this point, it's really only a matter of 1 to 3, maybe 4 days that they're going to be feeding before they start to kind of wander around in the sunroom. Oops, apologies. I went the wrong way there. Eventually, they're going to work their way to the top of those mesh laundry totes, and you're going to see them hanging in this J shape. And this is a great sign to see. This is kind of what they're known for. It's kind of just called the J when they're hanging out like this. And they're going to be in this position for about a day, maybe 2 days, and then they're going to head into the pupa phase. So basically, you know, the skin splits open and the pupa emerges from that. And this is actually very active. It doesn't take a very long period of time for that to occur, but this will be moving around. It's kind of like a wiggly worm. And then over the course of, you know, a little bit of time, it's going to harden and form. And then here we're going to have the healthy chrysalis. So you want to look for really bright green, vivid colors. These are all signs of healthy chrysalis. You'll also notice the monarchs are known for these beautiful gold spots. There's not a lot known as to if that serves a specific purpose. There's some articles out there where researchers believe it might have something to do with the sun or just different things with airflow as it's developing. But again, just another really unique feature to the monarchs, and there's still really not a lot known about it. So they're going to be in the chrysalis stage for about 10 to 14 days. And you'll start to see the monarch developing, and you're really going to be able to see very defined wing development, the coloring. And that's always when I start to get really excited, because it's just a matter of days before it's going to emerge as a full butterfly. So here's a photo series that I put together. There was one in particular that I tracked. So you can see the pupa here. The chrysalis was made and hardened. And then you can see it right here was the day before it was emerging. So the chrysalis skin is going to actually turn clear. You can basically see the entire monarch in there at this point. And they like to emerge very early in the morning. So I always set my alarm because I never want to miss watching it. It never gets old. And so here you can see a couple different stages of it coming out. It's mostly body, you know, the wings are very wet and very soft. And it takes several hours until they kind of fill out and become dry and hardened. Here's a photo. I had 4 that had emerged on the same day, which was pretty amazing and exciting to witness. So once they're at this point, you're getting really close to wanting to get ready to tag them and release them back out into the wild. So again, I just pulled up the graphic here from Monarch Watch that just explains the proper placement of those stickers. And again, this particular location, as long as they're placed where they recommend, that doesn't interfere with their development or ability to fly. And then here are 2 photos, 2 that I had tagged. You know, when you're holding them properly, they really tend to just kind of relax, and they're very easy to work with. This is also a great time to start getting to practice identifying the males from the females. As their wings are drying, they're going to start moving around a little bit more. They might be flying a little bit. And so you're going to want to, you know, choose one that you're going to start with to tag. Make sure you identify if it's male or female. Make sure you're recording all of that on your data tracking sheet, making sure it corresponds with the correct sticker. And then once you have that sticker on there, you're free to release it outdoors and hope that it makes it as part of the migrating generation. So back in 2019, I had tagged 10 female and 15 male monarchs. 10 of those were wild caught, and the remainder I had reared. Unfortunately, I mean, it was just 25 out of the millions that are migrating. I didn't see any recovered in Mexico, and there were no reported sightings, but I did see a handful of similar tag codes that were very close in range to mine that were spotted a little further south. So that was pretty neat to see. This year, I'm also planning to participate in the program. I think I might bump it up to 50 tags. It's amazing how quickly you can run out of tags to use in the program. And just a few garden scenes I wanted to leave you with. It's just so funny where you're going to find these. in your garden. So our milkweed is in the front of our property, and I had spied this caterpillar, had wandered all the way around back and found this spot on our tomato cage, and here it is in that J shape. I was able to capture a photo of it about the day before it emerged, but I wasn't able to catch it coming out. Here's another chrysalis I found on the chicken wire of one of our garden boxes. We have some daylily beds in the front, so I typically find chrysalis under the leaves there. And this is one of my favorite photos. This guy, I had seen that it had just recently attached itself, and I got my camera up really close. I wanted to get a good picture, and I bumped the leaves and caused a little bit of a disturbance, and it kind of sat up and like gave me this look, and I just thought it was kind of funny. It looks like it has a little bit of attitude there. So they're pretty remarkable. So that concludes the presentation. I have a few resources here, some links that I would encourage you to check out. Just simply going to monarchwatch.org, they have just a tremendous amount of information there. You know, other programs that they have that you can participate in. This is the article I referenced, Save Our Monarchs, What's Wrong with My Monarch 101. This is just a really great one-stop shop to read more into some of the common problems that can affect the monarchs and things to look for and ways that you can handle those situations, and then just some other articles that might be of interest. So I hope that you know, this presentation was interesting, and maybe I was able to share some things about monarchs that you didn't know. And I hope that you will consider maybe participating in their program. I'm not really in any way affiliated with it. It's something I stumbled upon. But this is something that I've really connected with, and I just think the monarchs are really magnificent. So, so thank you. And I guess I will open the floor to any questions.
Erin, thank you so much. That was a wonderful presentation. I learned a ton. I didn't realize exactly how the 4 generations worked, and that the numbers that we're getting reported kind of are dependent on, in part, tagging. So I think it is important. The more of us that can do this, the better. There was a question that came in over the chat.
Oh, okay.
Have you ever gotten low on milkweed? What would you do if running out?
That's a really great question. So thankfully, I haven't had that problem yet. That's not to say it doesn't happen or won't happen. You know, typically you actually might find some articles online where, you know, towards the end of the summer season, folks do run into this problem where, you know, they still have caterpillars, but they've literally mowed those plants down to the ground, and people are kind of in a panic, like, what am I going to do? You know, the reality is, in nature, that's just unfortunately how things work sometimes. But if you really want to try to keep it going, you know, there's kind of this mad dash to your local garden center for anybody that still has milkweed available for sale, because that is, you know, what they need that's their host plant. So you just kind of have to hope for the best. You know, you just kind of you live and learn through the process. That's probably the best advice I can I can offer for that. And plant more milkweed. You can never have too much.
I completely agree with that. In fact, I had been really excited about a presentation that was being given by my beekeeping club, because it was focused on plants and horticulture. And I was devastated when the presenter said, you don't need to plant milkweed in your home garden because it's already growing along the roadsides. And I was thinking, are you crazy? That's where they mow it. They can't mow it in my yard.
Right.
So I was very disappointed that somebody in horticulture, whose job it is to take care of plants, is recommending to such a broad audience that could make a difference not to do this simple thing. Mm-hmm. I almost want to cry thinking about it. It was just such a terrible advice to give. Another question that came in was, could you mention the time of year that tagging takes place?
Yes, so I can, at least specific to, you know, South Central Pennsylvania. So when you order your tagging kit through Monarch Watch, they actually time when they mail that out. So you're receiving it about when that fourth generation is going to be developing in your area. So I typically order my kit in April or May. I actually haven't ordered it yet. I need to do that. And the kit's probably going to arrive the end of July or sometime in that time frame. And then, just through, again, it's kind of trial and error, but there's a lot of really great information that's going to come in your kit. Monarch Watches, they do a great job in guiding you through the process and trying to have you have the best experience and outcome, and also to provide them the best data that they can use. So you're going to be tagging right in about September. That's when that peak migrating generation has been identified as being the strongest in our area.
That is great to know. I've heard mention of it. I don't know if you have any experience with it, that if you cut back your milkweed plants at a certain time, that they'll produce new leaves, because I think the caterpillars prefer younger leaves. Is that right?
I believe that is true. Yes, I have heard that people do cut it back as much as, twice or 3 times a year. I personally haven't done that, so I don't want to, go into too much. I'd kind of be speculating, but I have read that people do that. I think you cut it back to like a certain distance from the ground, and that, triggers the new growth. And I think that also helps keep the plants healthy, so that they don't start to get, any kind of rot or things or diseases or anything like that.
Great. Donna has some experience with Monarch Butterfly.
Okay.
I'm not sure if it's through Monarch Watch, but I know that she says her husband has caught mowers who waited until he harvested milkweed, so that second best to just not mowing. That was great that they did that. And she also asks, please mention about removing cats from cage before chrysalises emerge so EO spores don't fall on the cats.
Yeah, so I don't have a lot of personal experience with that. The EO spores, that's not like, I know there are ways that you can test for that using, I think you actually need a microscope, or they recommend using that. And you can take a piece of Scotch tape and kind of do like a test off of their body and look at that under the microscope and look at those spores to identify if it is an infected butterfly. But again, like I don't really have a lot of experience with that. But that is a really great point. I am aware of it. And it is true, you really shouldn't have, the cats or the larvae in the same rearing tote as those chrysalis for those reasons that Donna is mentioning.
So would you recommend having at least 2 totes then, so that if that would happen, you can kind of move them or whatever needs to happen?
Yeah, definitely. I have about 4 different totes that I use, but I try to be mindful. I mean, it's easy. You want to kind of get carried away and like bring them all in and like save them all. But you just have self-control and try to manage it that way.
That's great. Thank you so much. I think that's everybody's questions. I learned a lot. I'm really excited because as long as you're okay with it, I should have asked you before, but this will be posted on our YouTube. And so any of our members who didn't get to attend will get to learn also. That is wonderful. I am going to go back to sharing my screen. Okay, we did that part. Good. Okay. If Michelle and or Susan would like to give us an update, I would really appreciate. I've been excited to hear they are working tirelessly to try and get a PA law to prevent the sale of invasive plant species to work through the process and become a thing. Michelle or Susan, do you have a preference, or take turns?
I'll start and welcome Susan's addition. We are making progress. It many weeks does not feel like it, but after recently attending the April Controlled Plant and Noxious Weed Committee meeting, and prior to that, putting on a lot of pressure, every opportunity we could find, whether it was emails to people on the committee or meeting with the PLNA and others, the Pennsylvania Landscape and Nursery Association. Anyway, we had tackled a few conversations with some of these key members and really started challenging the fact that PLNA, who sit on this committee, and the Governor's Invasive Species Council seem to have carry a lot of weight in the conversation. And whereas the committee and the council, you've just got to give them credit. We've got people from DCNR, Western PA Conservancy, Fish and Boat, the Department of Ag. These are caring conservationists, everyone else on these committees, and they take immediate action when it has to do with aquatic invasives, or of course, spotted lanternfly. What we weren't seeing though is, since that law went into effect in 2017, the controlled plant section of it was blank. There were no ornamental plants in that at all, only noxious weeds. And we really started challenging that to find out that PLNA they're really the voice of, this is going to impact the industry and revenue. So we've been really kicking back against that a lot, and attended the April meeting. And at the April meeting, I was pleased to hear that they have now agreed that they can ban ornamentals by adding them to a controlled plant list. They agreed to what their process would be, which, believe me, that's a big deal for these two government committees, which I'm not used to seeing how slowly they move. And they also received, I want to call out here, about 12 email letters and public comments from people in Whiteswood, not in our area, the Whiteswood Conservancy Group, from Neshaminy Creek Watershed Group. And all of these folks had written in about calorie pear, which wasn't even on the agenda. And they listened and paid attention. And they are now trying to decide if that should go up for a vote soon. Where we are, though, is they still, these are quarterly meetings and nothing is happening fast enough for our satisfaction, really. We meet tomorrow with Senator Carolyn Comita and Representative Diane Herron again. We met with them a few months ago. They asked for a follow-up. Tomorrow, I am going to ask that they get more involved and keep the pressure on. And we are meeting with the governors. We are presenting at the Governor's Invasive Species Council in June, on June 8th. So I do feel like we've made some progress, but we will probably be reaching out to everyone in this group to, instead of attending the meeting, dropping an email in. We can give the email box and the deadline, and just having your personal say about why you care about this and which plants you want banned, because that, I do believe, is going to be something they cannot ignore. So the more people who write in, the more they have to listen. Susan, do you want to add anything there?
No, I think that's exactly what's happening. And as you said, it's been a little frustrating to see how long it takes, but also encouraging that a path forward seems to have been identified. And we'll see what the representative and the senator have to say about whether we should pursue this ban through the existing law, or whether it's cleaner to ask them to enact a standalone law, which many states have done, to specifically ban the sale of invasive ornamentals and let the Department of Agriculture deal with the noxious weeds and the agricultural pests. So we're not sure yet which way is going to be the, I don't want to say easier, but less less tortuous way. And frankly, I'll take either one for the right result. Would you agree, Michelle? Is that?
Yeah, I would. I mean, I was really trying to hold out for that standalone law so it's cleaner. It would be much cleaner. But at this point, it seems like they want to keep it in this committee. So they're willing to now take action in the existing law. So I don't care. Like you said, Susan, it's getting the job done. And we'll see. But if they do not make a decision, if they do not put at least one plan, and we believe it should be Japanese barberry, if they do not put that up for a vote in the June meeting, then all bets are off the table. It might get ugly again because they really have been talking about this for 2 years now.
Right. Pretty amazing that you can talk about banning one plant for 2 years, but
Yeah.
they can. They can.
I can't thank you both enough for the hard work that you're putting into this. It is such an important problem that so few people are aware of, but it impacts everyone. Whether they know it or not, it is impacting everyone. And it seems so simple to those of us who have any inkling of native plants, how easy this would be to just make a problem better just by stop putting those plants out there. We already have the control issue with the plants that are already there. Stop adding to the problem. So thank you so much, because it is tireless, thankless work, because there's so few people who even realize the fight that you are doing for all of us. I don't know the law side of it. I only know that I get very frustrated when I go to credible sources such as Penn State Extension, who has a lot of wonderful programs and information. And then you see in their noxious weed list that milkweed is in there, and you want to tear your hair out. And then you realize if you follow the money, they're agriculturally based, and farmers don't want milkweed in their fields, and they don't want their cattle to eat them because it's poisonous to them. And that's why milkweed ends up on a noxious weed list if you search in a publication by Penn State Extension. So it's crazy to me that is a thing, but it is. And it makes me wonder how that would affect the law if it just gets tagged onto a noxious weed kind of.
Well, so the noxious weeds are truly noxious weeds, stilt grass, knotweed, there's all kinds of ones on that. And the difference is the controlled plants, what they're saying is, and the reason other states have standalone laws is because if you read the controlled plant and noxious weed law from 2017, it also then says homeowners, once it gets on there, can complain and the government must get involved to remove these. And that's meant to, if you've got a property covered with Canada thistle or something and your neighbor wants to complain, it's on the noxious weed list, that's why that's in place. They're saying that they don't have to go out and do that, although it's written in the law that they do have to take action. So that's why most states have a standalone that is purely about banning the sale. They want us they're saying we can move more quickly, and this is up for debate. Tomorrow, I want to hear the senator and the representative speak to this. The committee, are saying that they can get things through quicker into a ban by adding a controlled plant list, which is blank today on that law. Now, we have argued against that, but if the senator and the representative say, no, we believe that this should be separate, we will submit the bill. I'm going to be thankful and getting, all our support with them, because truly the committee, including PLNA, should not have anything to do with this. This should be DCNR and Department of Ag and people who care about it in our in our government, not an industry lobbyist group. So that's where we're drawing the line, that, you know, we have this, they're representing industry and money, not citizens and conservation.
I completely.
Yeah, I just looked up milkweed because I was curious, Jesse, what you said. It's not actually listed as a noxious weed that I'm aware of. And Penn State's website is interesting. There are some pages that encourage you to grow milkweed to benefit monarchs. And then there's a page telling farmers how to eliminate it from their fields with frequent mowing and 3 different kinds of herbicides.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Because it is toxic in hay. It's toxic to animals that eat hay.
My reference to the noxious weed, I didn't mean to be misleading, not necessarily that it showed up on a noxious weed list, but I have a publication from Penn State Extension that in the description of milkweed, and it's a publication that it's a printed booklet to help you identify weeds at a young age so that you can pull earlier, and what they are, and yada yada. And milkweed is listed in there, and when to identify it and how to pull it. And it does not mention in any of the plants that it lists in this book, it does not mention native or non-native. It essentially equates them all to just things you need to eradicate from your landscape. So that
maybe we should offer all the farmers that will come in and do a recovery, and anytime they have it growing on their in their fields, we'll come rescue it.
Right. I wish it transplanted better. That would be a wonderful idea, but with its long taproot, it doesn't always transplant. So we'd have to have it we'd have to take it all to Erin to raise all of her cats on it. All right, ladies.
Anyway, we will be asking people to write in for the June meeting and for the next July committee meeting, because we have a list put together of what we think are a good top 10 or 12 to start with. We really, maybe someone doesn't care about all those. Maybe you personally only have 3 things that you hate and you want these banned. You can choose what's personal to you. I think it's more impactful when people write in and actually tell the story about why they want this particular plant or 2 banned. Not just jump on, you know, the common bandwagon kind of thing that we're on. So I will be, you know, Jesse, through you, maybe we can get an email out to everyone. It is public comments. You're allowed to write in. They'll take comments 24 hours ahead of the meeting, and they did present them all on the call. So it's worthwhile.
That's wonderful. If you could provide, even if it's a few snippets of some key phrasing that would be beneficial for us to use in our letters, and we can add our own personal plant references and things like that to it. But I think there's probably some language that you use when talking with everyone that may be beneficial if we include in our letters. And then I can email that out to, actually I can email it out to our email list. We send our invitation for these meetings out to over 150 people at this time. So it's really exciting, the reach that we're getting, even though not everybody has decided to join as a member. The word is getting out there. The education is getting out there. Our YouTube videos, people are watching them, they're learning from them. So that would be great.
One last comment. Previously there were some concerns. We weren't certain that we in Wild Ones of Southeastern PA should get too involved in advocacy such as this. And it is okay for us to advocate for change in ordinance and laws. What a nonprofit agency should never do is give money to a particular candidate. So this isn't about candidates and politics from that sense. We certainly can all and should all be advocates for change where it would, support native plants and conservation.
I think that's a really important and valid point. Thank you for clarifying, because I know I am new to this nonprofit biz, so I appreciate that. The only other thing I wanted to mention, and I think Michelle, I may have shared a picture with you. I meant to put it in this presentation. I was at a nursery in Delaware, right near Mount Cuba Center, and they recently did pass this law that prevents the sale of invasive plants. And at this nursery, they had a sign with a plant that said, now I forget what month it was, in 2022, this plant will no longer be sold. It's listed as an invasive. Please see the sales staff if you have any questions. So I was really excited to see that. I was sad that it wasn't happening sooner because it was still being sold, but a step in the right direction and blatantly making people aware. If you choose to buy this, you're choosing something that is on a list of invasive plants.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, that was really great. Okay, I can't even remember what our next step is. Hold on one second. My phone tells me. Oh, okay. So our next portion is some exciting upcoming opportunities. I don't know how many of you live anywhere near the Perkiomen native plant sale. The pickup is in Lansdale. It is an online sale. It's still going on. There are many things that are sold out already, but it is worth checking out. The prices are great. We had a presentation earlier this year by Beth with the Perkiomen Watershed Conservancy. She touches the majority of these plants that are in this sale. Susan and I have helped with making these plants grow. I don't know, Susan, if you've gotten to do anything this year with the plants, but last year before COVID hit, we got to, and it was wonderful. They offer also some trees and shrubs that they get sourced from Bemerwalds, which is another great nursery to support. Excuse me. So check out that sale, and then you can schedule curbside pickup. It's a really nice sale. One of our members sent me this information. Alice wanted to let people know, if you're in the Newtown Square area, the Valley Forge Audubon Society is doing these pop-up gardens to teach people about native plants. So if you're in that area, check that out. It looks like there's a registration opportunity for you, but it's good to see programs that have the same mission as ours, getting out there and spreading the word. Our first ever chapter event is happening in person. We're actually going to be able to get together outside and learn some stuff about native plants. I am super thrilled about this. On Wednesday, May 12th, from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., join us for about a 2-hour guided tour at the Miller Farm by Kevin Freiburger, focusing on native plants of spring. He can talk about plants, birds, reptiles. There will be lots of spring ephemerals and ferns that are up, trees and shrubs to discuss with ID and tips and tricks on that. The Miller Farm is a working farm with hay and an organic vegetable garden, among other things. So it is part of the Brandywine Conservancy, so another nonprofit organization. The tour is actually free. If you would like to donate to the Brandywine Conservancy, and because Kevin is giving his time for free, that would be great. That's the way we can repay his kindness. So you'll go down the gravel road, past the buildings and the barn, and up the hill, and that's where his white truck will be. RSVP me at wildonesofsepa@gmail.com so that I know kind of who to expect. So if somebody's running late, we can kind of hold the tour up a second. Oh, Nancy, I'm sorry you won't be able to make it with us. We will take photos, and hopefully we'll get those up on our Facebook page. That would be really fun. If anybody who can't make it has any questions that they'd like us to specifically ask, please send those to me also. That way I can try and at least get you some information that you're looking for if you can't make the event. Hawk Mountain is also having their spring native plant sale. If you've never been to this sale, it is really fun, and they do some really rare plants that I've not found other places that I just happened to get there, and they still had some of them, like a native unanimous strawberry bush, I think it's called. It's very interesting. So that sale is happening on the 15th and 16th of this month. It's nice that it's not happening Mother's Day because I work Mother's Day, so I'm missing a bunch of sales that day. But it's a lovely drive. I'm really bad with directions. I think it's Berks County, maybe. It's west of me. But it's a beautiful area. If you've never been there, make a day out of it. You can hike. There's Hawk Mountain. Last year when I went with my daughters, we actually got to watch a presentation about red-tailed hawks while we were there, so that was really exciting. And the prices are really great. Let's see. Another great opportunity, I just got an email about this. The Ohio State University is doing this bee short course for community scientists. If you've ever attended a webinar by the Ohio State University, they're all magnificent. They get really great guest speakers. Several of the people that are listed here for these sessions gave other presentations over the summer that were just, or I guess we're not in summer, over the winter, that were just really great. So I believe this series focuses on how you can be more successful in identification in your own backyard so that you can contribute information as a citizen scientist to help further the knowledge, kind of like Monarch Watch, contributing your data so that we just find out more about these great things. The link that they sent me in the email was amazingly quick. Essentially, it said, click here to register. I clicked and I was registered. So it wasn't one of those where you have to go through 16 pages and put in your life history to get registered. So if you're interested and you would like that link, again, email me and I will send the link to you so you can get registered. And you don't have to attend every one of these if you can't make all of them, but you will get to review the recordings of them as long as you're registered. That's always a great perk. Okay, this is very exciting. We, as a chapter, have the opportunity to go to the Pine Barrens on a very thorough guided tour by Matthew Ross, and he was kind enough to send me a blurb to read for you. Known for its vast and expansive landscape dominated by pines, the Pine Barrens National Pinelands Reserve is one of the most fascinating ecosystems in the Mid-Atlantic. Join Matthew Ross, Director of Continuing Education at Longwood Gardens and National Board Member of Wild Ones, on a full day of hiking and exploration. The trip will include stops at Batstow Village, an iconic and historically important settlement within the Barrens, where you will get a bit of the history behind what makes this region so special. We will also get a chance to spot carnivorous plants in the sphagnum bogs, excuse me, get up close and personal with some of the uniquely adapted species that are repopulating the former cranberry bogs at Franklin Parker Preserve, and see one of the largest stands of naturally occurring pygmy pines in the world. The weather might be a bit hot given the summers out there can be scorching, and it is best to bring enough water, suntan lotion, and tick repellent for you if you choose to use them, and please pack your own lunch for a picnic. So this is such an amazing opportunity. I'm so excited to learn about this unique ecosystem. And I know that our chapter has a wide range of people from all over and varying abilities. So I talked with Matthew about that, and he said that we can make whatever you'd like happen, he recommends if you're not up to this full hike, that even the first part of it, you can stay there all day and find plenty of things to do and see and look at if you don't want to continue on the hike. So we have a lot of arrangements that are going to need to be made for this trip, such as meeting locations and possible carpooling and all of those things. We're going to try and limit the amount of people to something we have not determined yet. It's not going to be like 4 people, but we also can't take probably 40 people. So we've got some details to iron out, but I wanted you to try and get it on your calendar and try and get to this great opportunity if you can. It doesn't sound like it's going to cost us anything. So that's really exciting. It will just be, you know, the cost of your gas, the cost of your packed lunch, those kind of things. I'm going to check the chat because I feel like there might be some questions about this. Yeah, I agree. Hiking sounds awesome. I hope it's hiking at a nice leisurely pace. I am a hockey player. I like short, quick bursts and then go sit on the bench. So I don't know that I'm a hiker. I like walking. I like walking at the pace you walk your dogs. That's what I like. So if we could call it walking, I'd be really excited. Hiking makes me a little nervous, but we're going to make it happen. It's going to be great. And let's see what else we got. Okay, so this is just another rundown of our monthly chapter meetings. And Matthew is also doing our September meeting. Really excited about that. He's going to cover designing with marginal plants and top local destinations for native plants. So that's going to be a really great meeting. Next month, next month's meeting is going to focus on providing for the dearth. And for those of you who don't know what that word means, I don't know if anybody who's not a beekeeper uses that term, but the term means a time when there are not plentiful blooms. So June, depending on what plants you are used to, June can kind of start your season of a lack of things in bloom. So we're going to talk about how to combat that because there are plenty of natives that help you overcome that. I agree. Walking in the woods sounds great. And I think that we are just about at the end. We are. This is just another reminder that if you want to go on those trips that we're planning, you have to become a chapter member. We enjoy everybody coming to our meetings, even if you're not a member, but we are setting up specific members only trips, and the way, and our plant sales, when we do our wholesale plant sales, those are things you can only take advantage of if you're a member. So go on the wildones.org, look under membership, select our chapter, and then you get all of the great benefits of the information, the get-togethers, the sales, the trips, all sorts of things. I am looking in the chat again. Schuylkill Center for Environmental Education has a native plant sale going on right now. Rick, is that online or in person?
Unmuting myself. It is order online, pickup only.
Okay, and
Browse the nursery.
what area is that in? Like, I've already confessed I'm challenged on a map.
Roxborough, straight up Ridge Avenue. For those people who are in like the Montgomery County, it's a pretty easy commute. Roxborough, Bells Mill, Forbidden Lane, Chestnut Hill area.
Okay, is that Bucks County?
No, it's Philadelphia. It's actually across the city limits.
Okay.
It's just across the city limits for Montgomery County.
Okay. That's great. Somebody went to Geno's today. I have heard good things about Geno's. I've not been there, but I've heard good things. I hope to get there one day. Erin, thank you for bringing that up. The Alt House Arboretum also has an upcoming plant sale. I think it's this weekend. I'm pretty sure it's this Saturday. And theirs is in person. I don't believe there's an online portion to it. So if you're
Okay.
fortunate enough to have off this weekend, check that out. I think also that the Alt House Arboretum is not strictly natives. They have a component of natives, but I think they also have kind of your more standard fare also.
Yeah, that is a good point. That's right, Jesse. I know last year they had online, or within the last 1 or 2 years, they did an online thing, so you could, select specific things and pick them up. But yeah, this year I'm not quite familiar with all the details. I just knew it was coming up.
I saw it on Facebook and I think I shared it, but I'm not positive if it shows up on the Wild Ones. Our Wild Ones of Facebook is still a little wonky sometimes, I think. It's not always easy to see everything that I'm trying to get up there. But even though they may not all be native plants, they do at least grow responsibly and neonic free. So that is a bonus if they can't offer just natives. And I think they're doing like herbs and vegetables and stuff too. So if you're still looking to get your vegetable garden together, that might be a great place. Thank you, Rick. The Schuylkill Center link is on there. Okay, guys. Feel free to unmute yourself, talk about anything that we've missed or anything you're looking forward to. And I'll just leave it on this screen. That'll be fine. Let's see if I can. If nobody has anything else, keep an eye out for our meeting highlights with the links and the information that we covered here tonight. We'll get the recording up on our YouTube channel. And
Jesse?
Yeah.
It's Judy and George. We moved here in October and we're still trying to figure out what's coming up. And we have a hosta. Then we planted a few native things 2 weeks ago, I think. But we're trying to find a landscape designer. Does anybody know of one that would help us? I mean, we're more than happy to do all the work, but we really don't know what would be the best way to lay things out in the yard. So we're trying to find somebody that would help us figure out, in order to get something where you have blooms all year and tall and short and attract everybody and feed everybody. We have a fair amount we're willing to dedicate lots of what is currently grass to be not grass.
That's wonderful. I know that we have Michelle, who is on our board, who does just such a thing. There are also some resources that we've shared in previous meetings. If you've gotten a chance to look at the YouTube videos, that will show you resources where to find kind of generic plans for certain growing conditions, like a sunny, moist garden, and it will give you the layout in a map format and list the plants. So unfortunately, you'd have to go kind of back in those videos, but a lot of the resources are in there. Erin just brought up a great point. Edge of the Woods Nursery also provides that service, and their website has lists of plants categorized by growing conditions. So it's not a design, but it's at least a list of plants to start with.
Okay.
And Michelle wants to point out she's happy to help, but she only does the design and the selection portion with the plants. She doesn't do the installation. And
right, yeah. We have no problems with planting things ourselves. At first, we need to kill off the grass that's there anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, we were just hoping for someone to go, well, this is shady. You should go put these kind of things in here. And this is sunny, or you should go blah, blah. I mean, we did this at our last house, and some plants were very successful. Our Joe Pye and our mountain mint and our milkweed all did great. And a lot of others, and was it the Picara? Oh my gosh, the Picara went insane. It was very happy where it was. So we have lots of space that I want to have be not grass. So
That sounds wonderful. That is the best goal to have. So Gemma also said that she's working with wildlawn.com /our team. I am dabbling in just the same thing right now, working to design someone's yard. So you've got lots of options. There are lots of people who know the value of this and know the plants and can help you get the information. Redbud in Media is also a nursery that does consultations just like this. Susan, yes, lots of deer are around. So you have to watch out for that. And it depends on your property. Not everybody has deer pressure. Susan might have all the deer, and that's why.
We've seen one deer so far. We have a trail cam, and I've only seen the one, but we've seen more down the street.
Yeah.
We have rabbits too, so.
Yep.
And I don't mind the deer and the rabbits getting to eat something.
Yeah.
You know, because I actually like having the bunnies in the backyard.
And so I don't have a deer problem, but I have voles, and voles have taken out one of my spice bush, one of my baby fringe trees, and all of my Baptista.
And apparently one of our hives of bees.
What was that?
We think we lost a hive, a full beehive to a vole. All their heads were bitten off.
Really?
Yeah, I was very upset.
That is terrible. I didn't even know that would be a factor.
Yeah, somebody said it was voles. I was like, I don't know how they got in through the mouse guard, but.
Don't know either. We've got plenty of voles and plenty of bees, so they're eating my plants and not my bees. I've got more bees that I could offer up if they'd let my plants alone. I think Justin's on. I'm kidding, honey. I'm gonna leave your bees. And
Good.
Just kidding, Justin.
Yeah. Susan, I would never agree to outside cats just because they do so much damage to other things. I'll take the voles, and I'm hoping more in snakes and owls. I want them to take care of my vole problem. But the cats, that's a whole different problem. Can't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, our cats are just indoors.
They're rough on songbirds.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. And I do have a neighbor with a cat, but I think my fence deters him a little bit. So maybe I could just put him on a leash and like aim him at the voles. Oh my gosh.
Hey, Jesse, real quick, I noticed that Nancy was asking about membership. So can you please explain for her benefit how to become a member?
I'm so sorry, Nancy. I must have missed that. Thank you, Audrey, for bringing that up. I'd love to tell you how to become a member. So you go to wildones.org. That is the national website. We are a national organization. Our chapter is the local chapter, the only local chapter actually to Pennsylvania, I don't think there's one in New Jersey. There's one in New York. So we are one of the only local chapters for states around. You get on that website and you go to membership, and then it's very simple. You select our chapter. It's the only one in Pennsylvania, and you pay your membership dues, which is, I believe, $40 for a family membership, and a large portion of that membership dues comes back to our chapter to provide programming, to make a difference in our community. So it doesn't just get all eaten up with, the red tape and the paper. We, as a chapter, do receive a portion of the membership dues. So once you do that, I can look on the roster and you show up, and then you get access to the trips and the sales and all those things. So it's pretty easy to become a member. And membership, you can do it yearly, or you can do a lifetime membership also and do that in installment payments, which I think is how I'm going to renew, because that just makes more sense, especially since you're essentially paying similar to what you would pay on a yearly basis, but it's for your lifetime. Rick points out that Redbud maybe didn't get back to him because they're super busy, so there might be other opportunities to look at. Lifescapes.design is Michelle's website. It's beautiful. Check that out.
Yeah, already good.
Good night, Aaron. Okay, guys, that was great. Thank you so much, everybody, for your ideas and for the conversation. It's always a great time. I look forward to meeting as many people as can make it to the Miller Farm. That'll be a lot of fun. If you need anything, let me know.
Thanks, Jesse.
Thanks, Jesse. Good night, all.
Yep. Good night, guys.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jesse. Bye, guys.
You're welcome. Good night.